All right, John. Wow. Wow, John. What is
Wow.
going on? What is going on? What is this
You tell
football we are
me.
watching? I've never seen this before. The Cincinnati Bengals, for those of you who obviously it was your wedding day, or I don't know why you would miss this game. They just embarrassed one of the best
They took
football
it to
teams.
him.
They took it to them, a 5-1 team with a guy who's playing a former MVP who's having his best season ever, who destroyed the Bengals in years past, a team that beat us 65-6 last year in 2 games, something like that. And we returned the favor, 41-17. We dominated them. We kept coming at them. It wasn't one player, it wasn't two players, it wasn't CJ Uzomah, it wasn't Jamar Chase, it wasn't Joe Mixon, it wasn't Samaj, but it was everybody. Though we threw the kitchen sink at them and they couldn't do a thing. We Lamar Jackson, who runs all over us, he ran for 88 yards, but we sacked him 5 times. He had a few big plays, and that was it. He was a stuck. Their defense was a stuck. John, what is going on? What is this team?
They threw the kitchen sink. They threw the fridge. They threw the the blender. They threw the toaster. They threw the oven. They threw the microwave. They threw everything at the Ravens. Did not flinch for a single moment. And there were times when the Ravens looked like the Ravens. They had a huge play from Lamar Jackson to Marquise Brown for a huge touchdown out of the gate in the beginning of the second half. They, there was a chance for them to respond after another touchdown, and the Bengals didn't flinch. They didn't allow this game to be close towards the end. They kept their foot down on the throttle. They kept their foot down on the Ravens' throats, and they snapped their necks. They destroyed them in a way that they've never done this before. There has never been a game like this at M&T Bank Stadium with these two teams. This game is historically close in this rivalry. There's never been a quarterback who waltzed into Baltimore like this and dominated an historically great defense in the Ravens. I've never seen anything like it, and there's no wonder that no one really expected this to happen, except the Bengals.
Yeah. I mean, they clearly believed in it. I mean, John, who was it before the game who was talking about, you know, what is it, like, we're going to flip the script? Was it Tyler Boyd? John, do you
That
remember?
sounds about right. I don't know
Yeah.
for
And
sure.
it's like, wait, the Bengals are getting sassy. Wait, don't do that, guys. Don't poke the bear. Don't get them to, come and with some attitude. Don't call Lamar Jackson a running back. Don't do that. Remember, people were worried. They were like, no, we can't give them any bulletin board. But you know what? They can trash talk now because they can back it up.
They
John,
can.
when was the last time? John, we've had some good teams, okay? During the Marvin Lewis, we don't. Let's not go all the way back to Sam Wedge. Let's just go back to the Marvin. We had some good teams. We had some stacked rosters, but we never had a roster like this that can just go out there and talk and bounce back from adversity and keep coming at you and come at you in every phase and every way and have John. We had people that step up who weren't, like, we're not dependent upon them. We had Sam Hubbard, 2.5 sacks. Where did that come from? Well, when you have a good team, you have Hendrickson. He had the sack, but he's been our kind of go-to, our best pass rusher. But the other guys that are stepping up. We had Ogunjubi, right? He had a sack and a half out of nowhere. It's just, it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. This team comes at you.
It's fair to say that there have been slightly more talented Bengals teams in recent memory under Marvin Lewis, but not one that clicks as well as this, and not one that believes that they are as good as they are like this. When the Bengals were good in the early 2010s, it was a surprise, right? They weren't expected to be that competitive in the beginning of the Andy Dalton era, and then teams didn't really take them seriously because they couldn't win when it counts. They couldn't win under the lights. They couldn't win in the playoffs, and when they played well, it was typically against so-so teams that they were expected to do well. Rarely did they outplay opponents that they weren't expected to beat, and rarely did they ever talk their talk. Whenever they won, and they won convincingly, it was kind of a surprise, and it was kind of bringing people back on the Bengals bandwagon only for them to throw them off when it mattered the most. It feels differently now, and it's not just about the talent and the overall depth of the roster. It's something different. It's a mentality. It's a mindset that never really existed, even under the good times of Marvin Lewis. These are the games that make you believe that this team can go from good to great, and there's not a game or an atmosphere that's going to be too big for them.
Yeah. And I think that is what the refreshing part is. I mean, we've been, John, we were 8-0 in 2015. This has way more hope. This team,
Way
to
more.
me, way more. It's not about the wins and the losses. It's about looking like a good football team, like a good franchise. And I think you were kind of hinting at something there, John, which is that it's these players. First of all, I've talked about this before. It started with Tyler Boyd and Jesse Bates, and then we got Von Bell, and now we have guys like Joe Burrow. We have guys who really really believe in themselves and believe that they can win in any atmosphere. And Mike Hilton, let's say, these type of guys who they want it. They want all the noise. They want all the stuff. They want you to throw it at them because they know they might not win every game, but they're going to be there every game.
They
and
want the
and that
smoke,
is
Dadio. They want the
they want
smoke.
the smoke. Yes, they want the smoke. And we have that. That is a really big thing. But also we have a really young team, and I think that all the talk about what the Bengals franchise was. You take a Jamar Chase. He's like you said about Jamar Chase. I think he doesn't know anything but winning. It's like, oh, you're gonna go to Bengals, you're gonna lose. He's like, no, that I don't. What? I'm going to what? What is? It's not in my vocabulary. And it was the same thing with Joe Burrow. He was shocked that he was losing the first year. He's like, yeah, this isn't gonna last long, guys. Enjoy it. AFC North, enjoy it. It's not gonna last long. These guys, you can't. I mean, I love the old Bengals. I'm not gonna name them by names, but they seem to buy into the narrative when things went wrong. It's like, oh yeah, we're the Bengals. Oh yeah, this is our time to stink now. It's the playoff system. Okay, yeah, it's all falling apart. And they just kind of laid down, some of them. I don't want to insult the former Bengals, but some of them. But yeah, these guys are younger. They don't care about history. They don't care about narratives. They don't understand these things. And they're just there to be themselves. And the other thing, John, and I'm really coming around on Zach Taylor as a manager of people, because these players care about each other, they believe in each other, and they are a team. They don't care who gets the touchdown, they don't care who's getting the target, they don't care what's going on. It's like, let's just get it done. There's no individual stats. It's nothing. I mean, yeah, Jamar Chase is. Can we talk about Jamar Chase for a second, John? Because yeah, I mean,
Let's talk about Jamar Chase.
Let's talk about Jamar Chase. Okay, 200 yards, whatever. Marlon Humphreys, whatever. One of the best corners, whatever. The thing about Jamar Chase is, I was watching the game. First half, he didn't have a lot of targets. We were going to T. Higgins a lot. People are like, oh, go to Jamar Chase. Go to Jamar Chase. I was reading the tweets. Throw to Jamar Chase. Feed Jamar Chase. Why aren't you going to Jamar? And I was like, yeah, why don't we do that? And you think, okay, well, that's very simple. Go to Jamar Chase. Wait, there's more to it. John, I am here to tell you, as a non-expert, okay, but it is that simple. You go to Jamar Chase, good things happen. And the last receiver I ever remember that being true for was Randy Moss, where it was like, yeah, just throw it up to me. Throw it up there. Good things will happen. There are not a lot of receivers in history where that has been a smart thing to do, but it is with Jamar Chase. And he's not just burning people deep. He took He took a short little slant route, like a 10-yard slant. And he's like, oh, you've seen AJ Green bounce people, dribble them like a basketball. Here, I can do that too. Yeah, I'm strong and I'm fast and I got great hands and I can jump. What you tell me what you want to do, I'll do it.
It's funny how you should mention Randy Moss, because that's been the player that Chase has been compared to in the first 6 weeks, because only Randy Moss has produced like Jamar Chase has as a rookie in his first 6 games. Randy Moss is actually the last receiver to make an all-pro list as a receiver, not as like a kick returner, as a rookie. And that was back in 1998. It's beyond the rookie of the year discussion for Jamar Chase now. 200 yards against one of the better man cover corners and Marlon Humphrey on the road in dominating fashion against the Ravens. He's now has like over 700 yards in his first 7 games. It's beyond just the rookie of the year conversation. It is now all pro territory. Never before, not since 1998 has this happened. Not since arguably the greatest receiver of all time has done this. It's remarkable. There's nothing more that you can say about Jamar Chase. He's winning in every single phase of the game. There are no mistakes that he's making as a receiver. There's no limitations that he has, despite not being the size and the towering structure of Randy Moss. Like the chemistry between him and Burrow, it shows, and it can't be stopped by any matchup. It's insane.
John, during the draft season, I remember you, because I follow you very closely, and I know other people said this too, but I remember you specifically. You were like, look at Jamar Chase's production as a 19-year-old and his catch share, or the percentage of his market of the receiving and all that.
Market share. There you go.
And you were like, we haven't seen anything like this. And I was intrigued, and I was like, yeah, but then you always get these kind of amazing stats from college, but how often do they translate to the NFL? Like, I knew Jamar Chase was going to be an elite receiver, a top receiver. I got all that. But what he's doing now is exactly what his draft analysis suggested. They said he was the best prospect since Julio Jones. I mean, like, yeah. Okay, yeah, Julio Jones physically it's just crazy to look at him, physically. But Jamar Chase, in terms of production, and also, you remember we talked about this. We're like, hey, now that Joe Burrow has Jamar Chase back, he's going to get his deep ball back. And it's like, no, 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 no. They need time to protect. You need this. And it was like, no, no, no. Joe Burrow, his success at LSU was largely because of his deep ball. And his deep ball was largely to Jamar Chase. And it was just, like you said, it's something between these two cannot be stopped. I don't know what it is, John, but every once in a while you get a quarterback and the receiver that their timing, their instincts, their feel for each other is so special that it just kind of, it can elevate an offense on its own. And we're seeing it now.
Well, that's why you don't see rookie receivers produce like this, because it does take time for those guys to get on the same page with their quarterback. But when you have a connection like this that was 2-3 years into the making, and you already have that established history and chemistry, like that was just the cherry on top with Jamar Chase. Like the narrative was that the Bengals should take Jamar Chase because he has a history of Joe Burrow. No, that is an additional benefit as to why Jamar Chase could fit so perfectly with what the Bengals need. He was exactly what this offense needed based off what he was at LSU and based off what the Bengals lacked in 2020. An explosive vertical threat that could also win in the short and intermediate areas and add every element that they absolutely need. And he's been every bit as good as he is now that he was in LSU, but only he's better because, again, he's 2 years older. He's more physically dominant. He's just athletically more gifted because he's grown into his body more. And there's just nothing bad to say about him because he's not making mistakes. And that's just so rare for a rookie in his position.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's funny. It's funny because I think he maybe dropped one catch so far, and it wasn't even a bad one. And I can't remember someone making so many big plays, a 21-year-old rookie making so many big plays and having basically no bad plays. Like he is like that preseason, it was almost like he was trying to, fool people. It was almost like he was trying to set up this, it was like a movie almost. It's like, hey, we need a dramatic contrast, to kind of build up suspense or something. It was crazy. But okay, CJ Uzomah.
He needs a platform to make sure that he's human, to make sure there's like some drama in the script. Maybe. And it's not, there's conflict and there's resolution, he's a storyteller.
That's probably it. Yeah. But John, look, CJ Uzomah, okay? CJ Uzomah is like, oh, he's a good team player. Oh, he's a very charismatic guy. I like him. Let's give him a second contract because we don't really have a great tight end. He's a nice guy. He gets the franchise. He's like a Joe Mixon. He's the type of guy. No. Joe Burrow has turned CJ Uzomah into a real weapon. CJ Uzomah, John, I mean, yeah, like so that one, there was a big, it was a breakdown in coverage, that one play. But I mean, but this guy, okay, because of a guy like Joe Burrow, and I've said this from the beginning, a guy like Joe Burrow, like a Peyton Manning, can take a, average, a slightly above average tight end receiver and turn him into a star. And that's what he's doing with CJ Uzomah. And
I think Uzomah always had that ability as an athlete. It takes a while for tight ends to kind of grow into their forms, and that's why usually you don't see them produce until they're on that second contract. But I look at those 2 touchdowns that Burrow found him with, and I think this also goes with the fact that these guys don't have a lot of egos that you can just kind of point at and criticize whatnot, because these guys can all eat on separate occasions, on separate weeks, depending on what is best for the offense. And both of those throws, I think specifically the first one, the play action where Burrow's looking to the flat to Auden Tate, it's like a rollout, and then he sees that's covered by the Ravens. They collapse down on it. Then he sees Uzomah has one-on-one coverage down the field. that's one of the plays of why the Bengals needed an upgraded quarterback, because you don't have confidence that Andy Dalton can look off the Auden Tate in the flat and look downfield and throw a perfect 40, 50-yard ball to Uzomah. But that's exactly what Burrow did. And then the other touchdown, when there was miscommunication with the Ravens secondary, they all went to the flat and Uzomah was breaking free down the middle. That was another on-the-fly adjustment from Burrow. So I think Uzomah has always had this ability to produce games like this, but now he's with a quarterback that understands that plays can break down. You have to go off your second or third option, and that's where some of these big chunk plays can come from.
Yeah. I mean, John, here's my thing. Okay. This team, you look at this team, the team that they played was 5-1. The team that they played, we didn't catch them off guard. What did they have, a bye next week? They weren't looking ahead to anything. They were prepared for us. They have one of the best coaching staffs in the league. They have a MVP caliber quarterback. They have a history against us. And they knew it was coming, and they couldn't stop it. John, this was as real of a win as you get in the NFL. Okay, we blew out the Steelers. That was another one where it was like, we came back on primetime. That was another one. And I think back to the media. Okay, no. I mean, look,
you and I.
No, we are not. We are not media. Media is, there are certain things that are media is the one that basically they say the things that we don't say. What we say is not media. Yeah, the fake news is what it is called. I mean, that's what the comment said. Fake news. I think about the media, and I remember Keyshawn Johnson. Okay, there was a video where after the Jacksonville game, Bengals were 3-1. Keyshawn Johnson said, Max Kellerman was like, Joe Burrow is that guy. He's the guy who can lead to a championship. And like within 3 seconds, Keyshawn Johnson convinced him he was wrong. He's like, yeah, they're 3-1, but it's not real. And I was like, it's not real? Like, what does that even mean? It's not real. They didn't win those games. They cheated. What does that mean? And it tells you, like, I mean, okay, rightfully so to a certain degree. The Bengals had not deserved credibility, whatever. But like, can't you just look at what they're doing right now? And what does it take? And now we have 2 blowout wins against division rivals, and against one of them was one of the best teams in the league. And if anybody doubts this team right now, I mean, it's ridiculous. This team, yeah, I don't know if they're going to finish 15-2, which was my prediction early in the season, before the season. I don't know if they're going to do that or they get close to it. It doesn't matter. Like you said, I want to see this team in the playoffs. I want to see them when their stakes are at the highest. I want to see them, I don't care if they're down 17 points in the playoff game. This team doesn't care. They can take anything. They are not afraid of anybody or anything. And it is, John. I mean, really, I was almost crying during this game. I was crying. It was beautiful.
In fairness to Keyshawn Johnson, I think at least he predicted a Bengals loss in this game, whereas I don't think you made a prediction at all because you were scared you were going to be wrong.
Well, yes, that's true. I mean, John, here's the thing. I did want to say it was going to be another nail biter, but yeah, I didn't. We had Jack on the show, and yeah, I just felt I should observe, be kind to Jack. But
you wanted to see it to believe it, just like Keyshawn Johnson wanted to see it to believe it. But now everyone has seen it, and there's no choice but to believe it. That's the only conclusion here. Absolutely.
I mean, look, the Browns are I mean, they're kind of a mess. Who's left in the division? I mean, really, we played the 2 toughest road games of the season already. I mean, bring it on. That's my take.
Okay. Well, this was by far the Ravens' worst game of the season. This is not an indictment
coming
on
off their best
going to happen.
Hold on.
Exactly.
Coming off their best game. They came off their best game. They shut down Mr. Golden Boy, Justin Herbert, who's like, oh, everybody's like, oh, look at Justin Herbert. Oh, he's, like, I love Justin Herbert. Great player. But please don't compare him to Joe Burrow. Like Joe Burrow, what he's done for the Bengals franchise, very few people have done in the history of football. What he has done already in terms of confidence, in terms of, getting a team to believe. I mean, Justin Herbert could have come here and could have been fantastic, but I don't know if anybody could have done what Joe Burrow's done so far. So
to answer your question, the Ravens are not done. They're still 5-2, the same record as the Bengals, and they definitely can play a lot better when they go to Cincinnati later in the year. So the Bengals definitely still have to contend with the Ravens. They're not done.
No, what I mean is we've passed the hardest test. There's nothing left for us to prove that we belong in that conversation with the best teams.
Well, that's true. The next time that they play, people will expect a a close game or a Bengals win because of what we just saw.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, John. But wow, okay. So who do we got next?
The Jets.
The New York Jets. Wow. Okay. Well, that is going to be a test to see if they can, keep their competitive juices going and not have a letdown kind of game. That'll be interesting. But okay, I think that's all we have. John, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I got nothing, man. We've been doing this. Me and you have been talking since what,
Yeah,
2016.
that's right.
They've never played a game like this against this quality of an opponent. But before
No.
I was doing this, like they had these occasional games, before that I was doing this for a living and stuff like that. But this is a first for me. I don't know how I'm going to respond and work this week with what just happened.
Yeah, I mean, I thought last week was a special because we had our first blowout in a long time, but it was against the Detroit Lions, and you and I knew that they deserved to blow them out. This game, this I mean, this was just this was too much. This was too much. This was, I mean, we didn't win the Super Bowl, okay, but that Pittsburgh game earlier in the season, and then the Detroit game, and then this, it keeps getting. It's like there are these higher and higher. It's like the new highs that I'm experiencing as a Bengals fan that I have not experienced for a very long time. And
So what you're saying is the other high that they need to reach is beat the Jets by 60 now. Essentially, it's the only way they can top this.
I could see them kind of taking it easy against the Jets, and wow, John, this is crazy.
Look at T.
Yeah, wow, John, I just want to tell you that winning is great for ratings. So I mean, the Bengals are doing our show.
Looks like I'm getting paid for the first time in 3 weeks. I'm excited.
There you go. Yeah. Thank you, John. What can you get at Taco Bell for $5? I'm not sure, but John is going to eat tonight, folks.
Half the menu, about, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Just be careful. Watch those calories, John. So, yeah, me and John are very excited. We're very happy, and we can't wait to preview the Jets game. We're going to make sure we do a good job of that. Maybe get some fancy guests for you. Please subscribe and like and comment and thumbs up and all that. And check out our podcast, the number one Bengals podcast. And yeah, that is all we have. We will see you next time. So long, sweetie. Bye.